Hey Greg, how are you?
Hey, how are you?
Hey, I want to ask about ADD. Just read Dr. Raymond's book about the seven types of ADD, at least the essential
Mm-hmm.
chapters.
Hmm.
I'm not a doctor, but it sounds like my son has ADD. I also think my husband has it, but starting with my son, and he says it's genetic, so that seems to fit. He has, I'm pretty sure it's type 3, which is over focused ADD. He gets stuck on things, he gets goes in mental loops. It even has the last paragraph of that chapter says that this type of ADD, the person can have basically Tourette's or a form of Tourette's. And he definitely has these jerky movements, usually his jaw or neck or head, that he says he
Oh,
doesn't notice or doesn't know why he does it. And it really sounds like that to me. And when he was younger, he was even more kind of spazzy, I guess, for lack
okay.
of a better word.
Yeah. And so so part of it is jerky motion and some of it is blurting things out, but it's not always profanity and things,
Oh, yeah,
which is
yeah,
like
yeah.
kind
He
of the
doesn't
process
have,
of it.
he has no filter and
No
he
filter is what I was looking for.
food.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Blunt, like so blunt.
Yeah,
He doesn't say
blunt and not
horrible
even
things.
like picking up any social cues. Like I should probably be careful about saying this. Just like blah
Yeah.
blah blah blah.
It's not too bad.
Yeah.
I don't think it's severe. He does great in school and like he's functional as a normal kid and everything like that. And he has lots of friends and gets along well. But like it's actually when he's at home and he's comfortable, he just feel like really disrespectful to me, like say something rude to his sister and she cries. And I constantly teach him how to talk the right way. It makes no difference. Like he just unlearnable right now anyway. So challenging.
And his abilities, like with school and everything, seem to be okay and all that.
Great. Loves school. So when he's in, this is what the book pointed out, because I thought he doesn't have attention deficit. But what the book pointed out is if they like something, they're fine. But if they don't like something, they will have a really hard
Yeah.
time getting through it. But
Yeah.
he happens to like everything at school. So that actually goes well. He does really
Yeah.
well
And like for now, what happens in five
until it gets
years?
boring.
Yeah. Yeah. Wait till he hits geometry or something, you know what I mean? Like,
Oh, yeah. Actually, he really loves math. I don't know. It'll be
oh, good.
something. Actually, doesn't like art very much. He's very left brained.
Yeah. I mean, some of the issue is that like you said, that there is an issue like when they're doing something and they don't like it. Um, it's actually it's not that they're in pain, but that process is tied to like pain mechanisms. Not necessarily that they feel like ouch, but
Mhm.
it's like low tolerance for discomfort, low tolerance for sometimes it's conflict or like you have.
Disappointment. Like I
Yeah,
couldn't
like
tell
if
you when
I
Todd like
start something and can't do well in it right off the bat, then I'm
yeah,
gonna
he
not
gives up
do it or
easily.
have a meltdown, and which is okay for a little bit of things, but most of the things that are going to be good is going to take a bunch of effort, and you're going to kind of suck at it for a while.
Hmm.
And so, like for me, that starts to be a little bit of like a threshold issue,
Hmm.
and it starts to be a little bit of like a limbic response. um Remind me, how old is he?
He's gonna be 10 in a month. So one more thing
So
the book said is
uh-huh.
that might have low serotonin or a hard time having a serotonin higher. So that seems to be tied to like being uncomfortable, disappointed, and sad easily.
Mhm.
Or is that a separate from what you're saying?
No, I would put that all in the same mix.
Okay.
Yeah, I would put that all in the same mix. And his sleep, how is his sleep?
So this was such, oh my gosh, like they described babies with ADD and they said how much trouble they have sleeping. And it like so many lights went off. He was like literally insomniac baby. And now I think it's okay. He'll just take a while to fall asleep, but I don't know how good the quality of sleep is. But it's fine. But as a kid, it was bad. He won't woke up at 4:30 when he was 1, 2 years old. He just and took these huge naps to make up for it and stuff.
There's different ways of like looking at the ADD, ADHD kind of processes, and one level is you look at the chemistry and you look at some of the brain function, but then there's like another approach of even taking a step farther back and going, okay, when we look at how the different systems are working, is there an issue in one of the systems, and then is it overriding another system, or is it being overstimulated by another system?
Mhm.
Not quite like acupuncture, but you're looking at it from like a kind of almost like an osteopathic point of view, where you're looking at anatomy, physiology, but you're looking at it as like these groups of like patterns or rhythms in the body, and like how is it all working together.
Mhm.
And like what you're describing, and where I was starting to go with it, like when you go through and talk about the issue of like I say pain, but it's not how you would traditionally think of pain, right?
Yeah, a
It's not
type
like
of pain.
ouch. It's just like discomfort, conflict, something that's unresolved. And in all of that, it is very like two-dimensional thinking. Like they have a difficult time seeing the consequences to their
Yes.
thoughts, actions, or behaviors.
Yeah.
Like it's all just like right here, right now. Like no,
Yeah.
like if I do this for 3 months, I'm going to be really good at this. Or
Yeah.
if I say this 3 or 4 times, this group of people is not going to be my friend anymore. Like
Yeah.
there's
Yeah.
no like kind of processing like that. And that is tied, if you think about it, it's tied to the sympathetic nervous system, which is tied to fight flight, and fight flight is all about right now. Like
Okay.
I need to run or I need to fight. I need to stand my ground. I need to get out of here. Like, it's
Mhm.
all about now, now, now,
Yeah.
now, 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 now,
Yeah.
where like if you're looking at issues in the parasympathetic or in the somatic nervous system and the limbic system, they all have their characteristics, so to speak, right? And so here you're wanting to unwind the sympathetic part of the nervous system. And
Okay.
so the very first thing that we usually do is, and this is you go through and you really unwind agitation. Like like that part of the system is highly agitated for whatever reason. It doesn't necessarily have to be because of an event. It doesn't have to be. Sometimes people are just like born that way, or
Yeah.
the birthing.
I mean, it could be me. Whenever I do a lot of healing, he gets better. Like he'll sleep better after I like get something resolved in myself. Like I noticed, especially when he was younger, and my daughter too. Like I would go through a few classes and work a few classes, and then I was like, well, I feel great. I feel better. And I'm like, the kids are sleeping better now. This is it could
Yeah,
be.
but he's starting to get to the age where that's probably like that usually happens up to about 8 or 9. And
Okay.
if it's still happening, great. But like as their mental body starts to develop, that will have less influence.
Be
Like
separate.
you kind of bank on that. Like when you're dealing with kids, there's times where you treat the mom to help
Yeah.
impact, and treating the dad usually doesn't work. It's usually like, if you do something on the mom, then even if the mom doesn't have the issue, like you almost like treat the mom and she sets the pattern for the child.
Yeah. That's so
And
interesting.
so, but you're almost like out of time there. Like it might
Yeah.
still
Yeah.
work for a little tiny bit, but it's not going to work for much longer.
Yeah.
And so uh
Okay. So unwind the sympathetic nervous
so
system.
you're looking at let's see, for a kid. Let me just look a couple things up here in my notes. So I think we've discussed in the past using African bluegrass on him, correct?
Yeah, that helped him be less crabby.
Okay, so African bluegrass is very good for mood, but not so much thought process. Not like mood is almost like kind of the precursor to like the emotional stuff. So it works for some things, but it's not going to work for everything.
Okay.
And so let me just, I'm finding something here. Yeah, it actually might work for this. Okay, so will he sit and do a pattern or no?
Yeah, just I
Probably
actually
not often though.
basal ganglia pattern that you gave me. By the way, a separate story that blew my mind with the poplar. And I had him do it. It changed my life after one application. My sleep
It's huge.
has
It's
transformed
huge.
into something it has never been. I'm a completely different sleeper.
Yeah.
And so I did it every day for several days. It felt like somebody just literally gave me an amazing drug. Oh my God, I felt so blissed out for about 5 days. I was like, this is awesome. And then it kind of like integrated or wore off or whatever. But every once in a while I do it.
Well, it's like the basal ganglia starts to change, and then it's like, well, I need stronger poplar. I need stronger whatever.
Yeah,
like,
that must be it. Give me the higher dose.
Yeah. So
yeah, he'll do it. I'll make him.
okay, so we actually might be able to get away with African bluegrass. The other one that I would probably throw in the mix would be helichrysum.
Okay.
Poplar too, but that might be a little much for him. Let's maybe start African bluegrass or helichrysum, and the pattern for this would be, you know, that pattern: front heart, back heart, forehead, back head. Anytime you do that, you're impacting the aspect of the sympathetic nervous system, and then how it begins to impact like the thoughts and emotions.
Okay.
And so you know, try the bluegrass, and then if that doesn't work, try the helichrysum. And it might be one of those things where you got to kind of keep rotating it. Like on an adult, I use the blend King of Pain. It was in like one of the kits, and I don't even know that we have it on the site, or if we do.
I have it.
Yeah, so that's what I use on an adult. And
Okay.
It's only one aspect of treating the sympathetic nervous system, but a lot of times if you calm that down, the very first thing that starts to happen is it starts to really release a lot of stress from the nervous system, and you'll start to have a release of emotions from the solar plexus and thoughts from the throat.
Okay.
Like it'll just kind of come pouring out.
Okay.
And so as you unwind the sympathetic nervous system, like all the emotions come out, like stress, fear, trauma, elemental, psychic attack, you know, whatever it is, if it's there, it just comes pouring out. So we want to go through and start unwinding that first component. I mean, I'll tell you the things that I do for it. It's I do agitation right off the bat. I do the King of Pain, which could also be African bluegrass, or helichrysum. Poplar is the big main ingredient in the King of Pain, so poplar would always be strong for that. And then the second component is raising the vibration of the body. And anytime you raise the vibration, you're increasing the conductivity to the higher soul. You're improving function of that particular system, and you're helping it to not go to like lower vibrational functions, like to, for example, to like be less reactive and be more regulated, or, you know, you're increasing the function. Like anytime you're raising the vibration, it's like the efficiency of the system or the organ that you're treating gets like more efficient,
Yeah.
not because of cleansing, not because of energizing, just because it's able to absorb more like life force on its own. It's like
Mhm.
it's like saying you could give a man a fish or you could teach him how to fish, right?
Mhm.
Raising the vibration, you're teaching the body part to fish rather than
Yeah.
going, here's some energy, here's some energy, here's some energy, here's some
Right.
energy, right? And so that is, I use de-stress, but Larch would also work for that.
Okay, I have Lurch.
Yeah. And then the next piece would be to do some regeneration, which means also re-education. And that would be like milfoil or yarrow. I don't know if you have either
I
one
have a
of those.
little milfoil somewhere, but I have to figure out what
Yeah,
class.
it can just be inhalation. Like it doesn't
Okay.
have to be a big, so, and then purification. I like to use either Dalmatian sage here or the sage triloba or the Australian sage.
Okay, I have Dalmatian.
Okay, perfect. And then fortifying, which just means like strengthening, but without like stimulation or anything like that. Fortifying can also have a bit of a regulating effect as well. Galbanum is the key there. And then allostasis, which allows this system to be able to change and become something different, basically change to go back to a more appropriate way of functioning. That is Palo Santo. In here, this last term is stimulation, but it's not stimulation like drinking a cup of coffee. It's stimulating the system to function appropriately, not like just go 90 miles an hour, right?
Mhm.
So stimulation has a very different context here than you would say, like, just putting a bunch of red prana on something, or giving somebody 2 cups of espresso, or just getting, I think you get the idea.
Yeah.
You're trying to stimulate like the processes of that particular system, because sometimes some of the processes have shut down, and
Yeah.
it sounds like they're all kind of different ways of saying the same thing, but they are literally these different aspects that you're going through and treating.
Yeah.
And so with that, I use Blue Healer, but you could use Dark Blue Tansy. You could use, you probably could use Spikenard here. Probably could use Vetiver here.
Okay.
Um,
First two, so I'll try Spectre.
yeah, but I mean, the Blue Healer, like if you put Blue Healer, for one, Blue Healer is incredibly anti-inflammatory, right? But if you put it like on somebody's back, like 10-15 drops, just like neat, and just kind of rub it in, it's anti-inflammatory, it's soothing to the body, it usually knocks them out. Like it's so soothing to the emotional body, and it's so soothing to the nervous system that it's just very, very soothing and sedating.
Cool.
And so, and it's doing it more like out of soothing than just like trying to sedate the nervous system. And so by doing that, that fight flight mechanism, it's still functioning, but it's like, instead of being pedal to the metal and at a 9, it goes back down to like a 2, and it can still go to a 10, but it's like in a resting state. Like, it's like it functions when it should, but when it shouldn't, it actually goes back to a resting state. Especially the sympathetic nervous system can go to like a state of function and just go, this is what we do now. Like,
he's a bit wound up.
Down. And if he's having insomnia, he's having a hard time focusing, he gets triggered really easy, lots of lower emotions, a mind bouncing around, everything's serious, like either or, like going back to sympathetic function. I either run or I fight. Like it's
Mhm.
either or. Like
Mhm.
whenever you see a lot of either or kind of thinking,
Yeah.
that's always sympathetic nervous system. Always.
Yeah.
It's so agitated, and it sends a bunch of impulses up. It then communicates, and the information eventually gets to the endocrine system, and then it becomes a bit more ingrained in the person because the endocrine system is now starting to back up what the nervous system is saying. And
Mm.
so when you go through and you start making these changes in the sympathetic nervous system over a period of time, it's like the nervous system changes the conversation with the endocrine system. And over a period of time, at first, it'll be like you do it and then they're good for a couple of days and then it bounces back, and then you do it and it bounces back, and then you do it. And then at some point you reach this tipping point where something kind of switches and they're just kind of different after that.
Yeah.
That's when the endocrine system has shifted and is following the instructions from the nervous system.
Cool. Okay.
I mean, I'm saying it in a really kind of simple way, but I mean, that's the gist of it. I mean,
Yeah. So for the first step, was
was
the pattern with that.
African, yeah,
But the other ones we can just do straight in
same pattern,
in
same
order.
pattern.
Oh, same pattern with each.
Yep,
Okay. Okay.
yep, same pattern for all of them.
Okay. So I might end up like I could do 2 of them on Monday, and then I could do
Sure.
on Tuesday, and then okay.
And I would do it and then sweeping down, like sweeping down, sweep out a solar plexus. So here's the thing: when you go through and do any of these versions where I go through and I go, okay, agitation and raising vibration and, all this is it's changing the brain. And so
Yeah.
go through and clean things up, but then scrub his brain. Like just like go through and scrub. Because a lot of times what I do, like with this, when I'm treating people like one-on-one or something, is I have them do that pattern. And then whatever the oil is, I have them go to the brain and inhale it with their awareness on the brain, and then move to the next one. And so, eventually it evaporates off, the negative energy. But if you can do, some form of healing, craniosacral, pranic healing, whatever, you can accelerate that process. So
Okay. That's what I was going to ask. The ADD
salt
protocol.
baths are a great way to accelerate it, by the way.
Okay.
Just throwing them in a salt bath would do a lot of what you would do in the healing.
Okay, great. That's even easier. I was going to say,
yeah.
Like
let's be super
25 steps, just
Yeah.
3 times a week. So I was going to say,
have him inhale, throw him in a bath.
And throw him in a
That's
bath.
what I would
Okay.
do.
Yeah, he was sick a couple weeks ago and I was like, can you please take a salt bath? He would never do it before. And he finally said yes. And it really helped him get over the cold faster. I did some chocolate cleanser in it. So I think maybe he had a good bath experience and I can convince him.
Good.
So we'll see. Thank you so much. Thank you.
You're so